St Kilda want to host Collingwood in the opening round. Let's talk about it. So, for the last couple of years, we know that the opening round has been up for so much debate between fans. The AFL seem to really like it, and as a concept, I do like it. I do like that the northern states get those 4 games, so 2 in Queensland, 2 in New South Wales. Last year, it did hit a bit of a snag when the cyclone happened in Queensland, and then the Gold Coast Essendon game was delayed until the very last game of round 24 before the bye happened for finals. And that was, so the AFL could build it up to be like, oh, who's going to make the 8 and all this sort of stuff. And in the end, it just turned out to be a dead rubber with Gold Coast absolutely smashing Essendon. But St Kilda want to play Collingwood in opening round on a Sunday. And I think that's just wild, right? Look, fair play to them for asking the question. They did this a couple of years ago when they wanted Collingwood. I think it was in round 1 or round 2 when we had Spud's game. They wanted to play at the MCG, so get some more ticket sales for them, more fans come to see the game, and it's for a very good cause in Spud's game. But the calls for them to host an opening round game in Melbourne is just it's just beyond me, really. Like, I understand it. I know what they're trying to do. They want to get this huge game and all this sort of stuff. It's going to be on if they can host it on the Sunday, it's going to be on the same day as the Formula One. So there's going to be so many people in the city. It'll be a few hours, obviously, after the Formula One finishes. So the city is going to be absolutely jam-packed. It's going to be a huge day in Melbourne. But there's a couple of problems if St Kilda and the AFL do go ahead with this. Now, the first problem is opening round was put in to give more, to get more eyes onto the game in those northern states, in those rugby. I was going to say rugby infested states, but rugby centric states, right? And that's why I love that idea. Collingwood, did play the Giants earlier this year in 2025. We did the opening round there, and then we did the opening round the previous year against the Giants as well. Now, as a Collingwood supporter, I do like supporting these smaller clubs and getting them to get sold out stadiums and stuff like that. It's good for the AFL. It's good for football in Sydney because we played the Giants twice. But we were the only Melbourne club to play in both of the opening rounds and having to travel. Now, I know that the stereotype of Collingwood is that we don't travel and we don't do this, and you don't want to play opening round because you don't have to travel. No, like Craig McRae and the club have said they love the initiative, but why are we always the cash cows? Why do we always have to travel? Why do we have to do this 2 years in a row when some of the teams that did 2024 didn't do 2025? It was us that did it twice in a row. Now, that's one thing, right? So if we were to play St Kilda on the Sunday in Melbourne, good for us. We don't have to, start our season off in Greater Western Sydney. I was lucky enough to be able to go to that game. It was boiling hot. We all know what happened in that game. Got smashed by 50 plus points, right? So starting our season off in Melbourne is a bonus at a really packed MCG against a decent opponent. They're going to be really good. Maybe not really good. They're going to be good next year. St Kilda. They've got all of these Silvani and Ryan and Flanders and TDK. They're going to be huge, right? They're going to be huge, and it's going to be good for them and good for the game. But it shouldn't be played in Melbourne. Opening round should not be played in Melbourne. There's no way that the AFL is going to backflip and play a game in Melbourne without all these opposition fans cracking the shits. Now, they're going to crack the shits for a couple of things, right? First, they'll crack it because they'll say, Collingwood always play at the MCG. It won't be our home game. Teams want to play us at the MCG just like the Western Bulldogs did this season in 2025 because it was their 100th year anniversary. They wanted to get a lot of people there, and 45,000 at the Marvel wasn't going to cut it. They got, I think it was 75,000 to the MCG for their 100th year celebration. St Kilda did it last year as well, like we just said for Spud's game. Teams want to play us there to get more money, to maximize attendance. And opposition fans obviously don't see that. They just think that, we just don't travel and we just don't leave the MCG, which is true, but it also is our home ground, and it's the home ground of like Hawthorn and Richmond and all these other teams that we happen to play there. Melbourne when we play there, and Essendon when we play there, and Carlton's always going to be at the MCG, even though their home ground is Marvel. I'm still pretty sure it's at Marvel. So that's one thing. The second thing is just scrap the entire opening round if you are going to play a game in Melbourne. It just doesn't make sense if it was, yeah, look, we're doing opening round so we can get more eyes on these rugby states to play, to watch the football and stuff. But then, but by the way, we're gonna have a game on Sunday, St Kilda, Collingwood, in Melbourne, and then 4 days later we'll have round one, the big Carlton Richmond clash. What's the point? St Kilda should be asking for us in round one. Play us in round one. That's what it should be. Or better yet, scrap opening round in its entirety. Now, this is from a report from Code Sports, where they go on to say that Collingwood is open to playing the Sunday game against St Kilda in Melbourne. And like, why wouldn't they be? You start the season at the MCG, you're not starting it away, you're going to get a big attendance. I understand that it would be good for our game personally, good for St Kilda, I guess good for the AFL. But I just don't think if we're starting to shift opening round to now being allowed to play one game in Melbourne, a fifth random game in Melbourne, not only does that then stuff up the buys even further and stuffs up the ladder until, round 6 or 7 when those buys are sorted out, it just will just create unrest with fans. It would just create so much unrest with fans and calls for opening round to be scrapped. And if that's going to be the case, that you're playing a game in Melbourne, just scrap it, call it round one, or have everyone play in opening round, which doesn't make sense because you wouldn't may as well just call it round one anyway, or call it, it's opening round and there's games everywhere except for Victoria or something like that, which will never happen, right? But I just think that it's bold of St Kilda to do this, and good on them. Their president really wants to sort of change the Saints' direction. If you watch, and one of my good mates and a great footy content creator, Jake on Saints TV. He's had the Saints president, Andrew Bassett from memory, on a number of times, and he likes to, he wants to change the fortune of these clubs like St Kilda. They were talking about the academies and the father sons and all this sort of stuff. So it's great that they're standing up now and saying, no, let us play on a big stage against a really big opponent so we can get a lot of people through that door. But what I would love to see, if St Kilda want to do this, make a round one annual game against Collingwood where it is Spud's game, or better yet, let's just have Spud's round or a mental health round. Like, maybe that's a video for another time, but I really do believe that we need a mental health round or a Spud's round or something like that. I think that could really work, but leave opening round as opening round. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me that the AFL would backflip. And by the sounds of this article, like reading this article, I do implore you to go read it on Code Sports, and I think it's on Super Footy as well. It sounds like the AFL might do it, and because Collingwood are keen and St Kilda are putting themselves, in line for that, it could happen. We could have a fifth opening round game, and instead of the Carlton Richmond game, which is just genuinely big and great, and I love watching that game to kick off the footy in Melbourne, it's going to be a Carlton St Kilda game on a Sunday to kick off the footy in Melbourne. I understand where St Kilda are coming from, but it's also just like, it would be just stupid of the AFL to do this, because you may as well just scrape opening round, because it just won't make sense. It won't make sense. And they're saying that the final decisions will be made over the next month, but the Saints are eager to make a splash next year with a new look side eager to rise up the ladder. So it's all about getting their new look players out and about against a big crowd a week before the footy starts, because who knows who they probably would play in round one. But I just think that this game should be moved to round one, then have the big game on the Sunday and leave opening round as it is, because any more tweaks to opening round and more fans are going to revolt and just start, rocking up to AFL House with pick signs and what are they called? Picketing signs and stuff like that, and start picketing opening round that shouldn't happen anymore because you're trying to give them a game in Melbourne. It just literally doesn't make sense to me, and I probably, I just wanted to come on and just it just floored me that the AFL are even considering this. And it happened to be with Collingwood, of course, because we are the AFL's cash cow. Like I said earlier in the video, everyone wants to play us. Everyone wants to play us at the MCG. They want all their ticket sales, and I get that. Everyone uses us. I understand that. We're the biggest club in the land. I get that. But again, leave opening round as it is. Saints should be playing us round one on the Sunday, whatever day they want to play us. And that should be an annual Spuds round game. I would love that. I just think it doesn't make sense to play an opening round game that should be in the Northern States in Melbourne. Let me know your thoughts down below. It's actually fired me up a little bit, giving me a bit of fire in my belly, because it's just really, I don't know why, it's just really, really upset me. But let me know your thoughts down below. Should St Kilda and Collingwood play an opening round game on the Sunday in Melbourne before round one? Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers, I'll swoop you later.